Hello, Aries. Thank you for being here. Out of all the choices you could have made, you chose to take a moment to listen to yourself and reconnect with the quiet yet powerful current of the universe. Today, I'm not here to give you advice. I'm just here to tell you a story. A story that, if your soul has been quiet lately from exhaustion, might awaken the light hidden in the deepest parts of you. And if your heart has gotten used to uncertainty, then maybe, just maybe, today is the day you'll feel something more certain than ever before. Aries, can you feel it? There's a shift in the air, like someone is gently knocking on a door you thought had been locked shut for good. Like after hundreds of days wrapped in mist, a narrow ray of light is finally breaking through, touching the driest, most forgotten part of you. And then, you realize that light, it's not coming from the outside. It's coming from within you, from the part you once abandoned, thinking you no longer had the strength to keep going. But now, the universe is sending you a signal, and it's clear, so very clear. Within the next 2 days, news will come your way, maybe a phone call, a letter, an unexpected opportunity. Not to surprise you, but to respond to the silent resilience you've held onto for years. You've doubted yourself. You've thought of letting go. You've slipped quietly into that empty space where every effort felt meaningless. Every dream felt out of reach. You know that feeling, don't you? The feeling of being stopped by an invisible wall, a wall that stayed cold and silent, no matter how many times you knocked. But now, that emptiness, it's cracking. It's no longer the silence of doubt, but the sound of limits breaking apart. It's the closing of an old chapter and the quiet opening of a door meant just for you. And the most miraculous thing, it's not that the world outside has changed, it's that you have. After all the times you were pushed down, after all the moments you felt disappointed, you're no longer who you used to be. You're still here, you kept going, and you deserve this next chapter of your life. Sometimes we think that miracles are far-off things, found only in sacred places or grand signs. But eventually, when the noise quiets down, we realize something simple. The real miracle is that you kept walking. You kept being kind even when no one was watching. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to pause, look back, and ask yourself, could it be that this very journey, this long, difficult path you've walked, is what's made you more beautiful than ever before? Don't answer just yet, because ahead of you, there's still another message. One more whisper, not from the outside world, but from a place deep within you. A quiet, sharp reminder that not everyone walking beside you is walking toward the light. Let me tell you what comes next. There's something most people don't say out loud, that sometimes the very ones who once held our hand through the storm are also the ones who lay the first brick in the wall of doubt. Aries, I know you, a heart on fire, genuine, and always believing in the value of living true. You're not one to hide behind a mask. You don't know how to be suspicious, and deep down, you still think that if you're kind to others, it'll find its way back to you. But the universe, it has its own way of reminding you, not through clear betrayal, but through subtle signs, a glance that shifts away when you share a dream, words that sound sweet, but shrink you a little more every time you hear them. Now, in the phase you're about to enter, as a new door begins to open, remember this. Not everyone will celebrate your growth, and not everyone can handle the light you carry. There is someone, or even a group of people in your orbit right now, carrying a different kind of energy. Not open hostility, but quiet envy. A kind that doesn't speak through harsh words, but through carefully disguised concern. They'll inch closer, ask you small questions, pretend to care, but really they're just tracking where you're headed, looking for a way to slow you down. Why? Because your light reminds them of what they gave up on, and instead of reigniting their own flame, they'd rather try to dim yours. So in the next few days, if you see the number 7 appear again and again, 7 o'clock, the 7th day, 7 minutes, or the number 777, pause. If you see the number 2, especially in your dreams or on a digital clock, tune into that very first instinct deep inside. That's not coincidence. That's the code. A quiet nudge from the universe calling you back to healthy discernment. Not so you push everyone away, but so you learn to choose, like a gardener who knows which branches to keep and which ones to cut so the tree can grow taller. Aries, you don't need to exhaust yourself trying to please everyone. The ones who truly love you, they won't need to know your whole plan to believe in where you're headed. Protect a space for yourself, a sacred space no one gets to walk into. Not because you're selfish, but because you're growing, and growing means understanding this. Light needs time to find its shape, and a new journey often begins in silence. Maybe you're asking yourself right now, so who can I trust? The answer isn't out there. It's inside, in the frequency of your own awareness. And you, Aries, you're learning to hear it more clearly now, the voice of your intuition, of your soul, of your heart. Because here's the truth. When you step out of the dark, the first thing you need to learn isn't how to run, but how to tell which light is real, and which light is just a reflection in someone else's mirror. Out there, beneath all the noise, a quiet but powerful signal is waiting for you. A whisper from within telling you, something is coming, an opportunity, but not in the way you expected. And the real miracle, it won't just change your bank account or your title. It will shake the very core of what you believe about what's possible. So now, the question is, are you ready to listen? Some rewards don't come when you chase them, they come when you've walked far enough, long enough, and still kept your faith in the dark. Aries, if anyone understands resilience, it's you. You don't follow the beaten path. You don't wait for permission to do what you believe is right. And because of that, there have been moments when you felt left behind. While others received the applause, you, the one who acted with heart, were met only with silence. But today, I want you to hear this clearly. Your finances, they're about to shift, and the most surprising part, it won't come from where you're currently looking. It will come from somewhere unexpected, from someone you thought had drifted out of your orbit. Maybe it's an old connection, a forgotten invitation, or an opportunity that once left you disappointed. But this time, it's coming back in a new form, not as a hollow promise, but as a confirmation that you've truly grown. Now the material world, money, position, recognition, is starting to knock on your door, not because you chased it, but because it's drawn to the frequency of someone who no longer needs to prove anything. I can feel it in you, a quiet transformation. You're no longer chasing money to fill a void. You're no longer drained by watching others get ahead. And slowly, you're beginning to understand something deeper. Money doesn't come to save you. It comes to reflect the value you've been planting over all those years of silent persistence. You might not even realize it, but every time you helped someone, even when no one noticed, every time you stayed up late, finishing a project with no recognition, every time you turned down the easy road, just to protect a dream no one else could see, the universe was watching. And now those seeds are starting to sprout. From a place you didn't expect, a contract, an email, a phone call, something is coming, and it could be the key, the one that unlocks a new flow of prosperity in your life. This isn't luck. This is the reward for someone who learned how to stand, even as everything else fell apart. Aries, you don't need to compare your journey to anyone else. You weren't born to be a copy. You were born to carve a path, one that's sometimes messy, sometimes lonely, but always marked by someone who chose to live by the fire within. Maybe you're still wondering, do I even deserve something good? And the answer doesn't lie in papers or bank balances or what anyone says. The answer lies in this. You never gave up on yourself. And that right there is what makes you a magnet for true abundance. So now, get ready. Not to prove anything to the world, but to finally receive what you've long deserved. Because sometimes, what we thought was lost was only waiting for the right time to return, like a miracle we never scheduled. And when you open your heart to that gift, you'll see not only will your wallet be filled, but that hardened part of your heart, the one that thought it had to stay numb forever, will finally begin to soften. Because healing doesn't always come from love. Sometimes it comes from finally being seen, being recognized, being rewarded. And if you think this is only about money, you're missing the deeper truth. Beneath all that success, there's still a heart that's been deeply hurt and is now being led back to a place where love is no longer a luxury. There are wounds that never bleed, yet they keep the heart closed for years. And there are words long forgotten that still rest quietly inside like an invisible cut. Aries, you once loved with all the fire in you. You gave without holding back, trusted without building walls. And then one day betrayal came, not always in the form of lies. Sometimes it was silence when you needed someone to speak, a turned back when all you needed was a hand to hold on to. Those things, small as they seemed, felt like pebbles dropping one by one onto the burning core of your heart. You stopped being yourself. You stopped opening up. Stopped believing that love could still be a safe place. You never said much about it, never complained. You just stayed quiet and kept walking forward. But deep down, you knew something inside you had turned cold that day. And maybe that's why what's happening now feels like such a quiet, gentle miracle. The wall you built, it's starting to melt. Not because someone broke it down, but because you've become strong enough not to need it anymore. Maybe you're still single and you've told yourself, I'm okay, I'm used to this. But listen, someone is coming, not to overwhelm you, but to heal you gently. This person, they won't ask you to shrink yourself just to fit their world. They won't need you to sacrifice your soul to feel loved. They'll come to love the parts you thought no one ever could, the tender, broken, scarred pieces of you. And if you're already in a relationship, something is about to deepen, not with grand promises, but with quiet glances that speak more than words, not with big bouquets, but with small acts of care, enough to make you feel truly seen fully and without conditions. Aries, you don't have to exhaust yourself trying to be worthy of love. You just have to come home to who you really are, strong, honest, and yes, beautifully vulnerable, because real love isn't looking for perfection. It's looking for a heart that dares to love again even after it's been broken. Healing doesn't come from forgetting. It comes when you face the memory and quietly whisper to yourself, I made it, I'm still here, and I deserve better. And somewhere in that stillness, you begin to realize pain didn't come to make you harder. It came to teach you how to love wiser, softer. Not love that fills a void, but love that helps two people grow side by side. And maybe one day you'll look up at the sky and catch a ray of sunlight. Not too bright, but just enough to ease your soul. And in that moment, you'll know you're finally ready, not to start over, but to keep going. This time with a whole heart, because maybe the most precious thing in this life isn't being loved, but learning to love again after everything. And when your heart begins to stir again, listen closely. It might not just be the sound of love, it might be destiny calling you back to yourself, to the part of you that was once forgotten and is now ready to awaken. There are moments in life when you feel so small, so invisible in the vastness of this world, as if every effort you make is just a grain of sand blown away by the wind. And you wonder, is anyone hearing this? These silent wishes you've been carrying. Is anyone listening when you whisper a prayer, even if it's just for a sliver of light? Aries, if you're hearing this today, please believe you are never truly alone. The universe keeps turning quietly, steadily, and within that movement, there's a rhythm made just for you. A quiet presence, powerful beyond words, walking beside you in every step. A guardian angel who doesn't need to be named but never stops watching over you. Maybe you've looked up at the sky before and thought to yourself, if someone is out there, please just give me a sign. And then you saw 11 light up your phone screen. You dreamed of flowing water or fire dancing gently in the night. That wasn't coincidence. It was language, the language of the universe. A reply from the light, meant only for you, the one who walked through darkness with nothing but faith. A message whispering, we're here, you're not walking alone. Aries, you are strong, but maybe you've grown so used to being strong that you forgot you can also be protected, not by people, but by something unseen, a higher frequency, a realm of light not everyone reaches. Only those who have stood at the crossroads of pain and hope, those who have fallen to their knees and still chose to rise, are chosen to carry that protection. You weren't chosen because you're perfect. You were chosen because you didn't give up. And there's something else, something deeper, something sacred. You are doing what generations before you couldn't. You're breaking limits that lived in your bloodline, in the memories of those who came before. Maybe someone in your family once lived with unfinished dreams, with inherited fears, with wounds that never had a name. And now, you with your fire-filled heart and restless feet, you've been chosen by the universe to heal all of that. You're not just living for yourself. You are living as a torch for your entire lineage. And your light, even on the rainiest days, is enough to warm what's been cold for so long. When you feel tired, close your eyes and imagine a hand on your shoulder, steady, gentle. It says nothing. It's just there. Because sometimes what we need most isn't an answer. It's to know that we're seen, that we're believed in, that we're safe. You are loved, you are protected, and you are on the right path. But deeper than that, you're not just breaking old limits. You're preparing for something bigger. a rising from within of strength, passion, and a purpose you may have set aside in the years of survival. And maybe what's waiting ahead isn't just recognition from others. It's a sacred appointment with the most powerful version of you. There's a quiet moment when you realize you no longer want to live a life where each morning feels like just another task to complete. Aries, if your heart has ever whispered, "I want to start over. I want to live true to my passion," then maybe, just maybe, this very moment, the universe is nodding yes and opening the door. You don't need a grand miracle. What you need has always been there, in that fierce look in your eyes when you believe in something with all your soul. In the way you move forward without waiting for approval. In that rare courage, the kind that dares to start again when the road no longer feels like your own. That's who Aries is. When others are still hesitating, you've already jumped in. When people need a map, you trust your gut. And that way of living, so boldly, so upstream, it may have made you feel alone at times, but it's also what makes you unforgettable. Now, the universe isn't testing you anymore. It's giving you the green light. Not so you can run faster, but so you can finally step into the role you were born to play, the role of a trailblazer. So take a moment and remember what once lit you up. That one idea you scribbled down and never finished. That job you thought you weren't good enough to try. That project you tucked away because no one seemed to understand it. Now, those pieces are finding their way back to you. This is not the time for temporary plans, half-lived dreams, or waiting for someone's permission. Because by now, you've grown enough to know a true calling doesn't need consensus. It just needs you to say yes. Aries, you weren't born to blend in. You were born to open paths. And maybe you'll be the first in your family to step into a field no one's ever dared to touch. The first to name what you love and follow it through, even when no one's walked that road before. I won't tell you it will be easy, but I believe this with all my heart. If anyone can walk forward without seeing the light at the end of the road, it's you. You're no longer playing the game of chance. You're no longer waiting for the world to validate you. Now you're moving from the place of someone who knows their worth and chooses to live true to the fire within. And here's the magic. The moment you dare to be real, opportunity finds you. The doors that once slammed shut start to open in ways you could never have planned. And those who once doubted you, they may not apologize, but they will pause and admire you in silence. And then, after everything, you'll find yourself standing in a brand new reality, where you're no longer working just to survive, but living to share something greater than yourself. Because when passion and courage rise together, you don't just succeed, you become fully, brilliantly yourself. And like a fire that can never go back to being ash, once your soul has risen, it begins to shift. Not just to achieve something, but to become something. And that something is closer than you think. Some changes don't come to turn you into someone else. They come to bring you home, back to your truest self. The original, the raw, the you that hasn't been shaped by expectations, wounds, or the weight of other people's beliefs. Aries, a rebirth is happening, quiet but powerful. Not in places others can see, but deep within your core, where your soul is shifting, growing, and shedding an old skin that no longer fits. You may feel exhausted. Your emotions may swing without warning. You might feel alone, even in the same room that once brought you comfort. Or like you no longer belong to the things that used to make you happy. Don't rush to call it burnout. This is the deep ache of transformation, like a seed cracking open so it can grow into a tree. Like a phoenix burning in fire to rise again from the ash. This isn't a dark phase, it's a sacred one. A holy shedding where the old energies are being cleared so that something brighter, deeper, and more true can finally enter. And the strange thing is, even though you don't know exactly where you're headed, you know you're not who you were. You can feel it in the way you breathe, in the way you're no longer drawn to relationships that only survive on duty. In the way you now choose peace over the need to prove anything. This version of you, the Aries who's lived through the hunger for recognition, is different. You've outgrown the craving to be seen, and now you're being led by a new fire, a quieter one, less loud, more lasting, and full of clarity. And from that place, you're rising to a new peak, not in the eyes of others, but in the quiet, steady knowing that you're finally living true. True to what stirs your heart, true to the freedom you once gave up. True to the rhythm of your soul that you've silenced for too long. No one can stop you now. No one can pull you back to that older version of yourself, because the one who has endured, forgiven, and started again from nothing can never be broken. Aries, you're becoming the version destiny has always dreamed for you. A warrior who never lost their heart. A leader who doesn't need to shout to be heard, just your presence is enough to change the room. And if you find yourself standing in a still, silent space, trust it. It's not a delay. It's the moment, just before the light shines exactly where it's meant to. Because sometimes the dawn doesn't come with thunder. It slips in quietly, a soft beam through the curtains, gently waking a soul that's finally ready for the day. And now, if you listen long enough, you'll hear it. That voice inside you, clear, steady, and full of purpose. It's not telling you to rush. It's not asking you to be better than anyone else or to do something huge. It's simply whispering, it's time to live true. It's time to return to the light you were born with.